quite simply abandoned. The key is to apply the knowledge we have in order to solve problems. Second, our educators need to know how to develop a curriculum that is relevant to the needs of the economy. They should work in partnership with the private sector to design and implement a curriculum that augments the basic foundational skills. Successful countries are those that ensure that the skills they produce are the skills that are appropriate for industrial use. After all, the private sector will be the recipient of many of these secondary school graduates. Therefore, they need to absorb the graduates much more easily. Not every learner is qualified to pursue the academic track. Countries in which 50% of their learners enter technical colleges to develop artisanal skills have lower youth unemployment rates than where the overwhelming majority enter tertiary educational institutions. The assumption that we often make that every learner is destined to enter the tertiary education sector does need to be re-examined, and our secondary education system also needs to be restructured accordingly. Our schools need to form part of a comprehensive society-wide response to the challenges as well as the opportunities of the fourth industrial revolution. Rapid technological advances are already having significant consequences for workers and communities, with digitization and mechanization of work processes giving rise to increased insecurity. The fourth industrial revolution is our current reality, and it waits for no man, no woman, but it also does not wait for any government. It doesn't wait for a learner, or a student, or an employer, or a trade union. It just happens as it happens. The fourth industrial revolution, therefore, is something that we've got to grasp, and we've got to grasp it now. As we respond to the challenges of 4IR, we should, as a continent and as a global community, put people at the heart of economic and social policy, as well as business practices. There are remarkable opportunities, but also enormous challenges that are emerging from the dynamic forces that are transforming the world of work. To help global society navigate these challenges and opportunities, we need to invest in the capabilities of our people. Secondary school occupies a crucial role in our effort to set the people of our continent on a path to a sustainable and inclusive development that will benefit all of humanity. Secondary school also intervenes in young people's lives at a time when they are most energized but also most vulnerable and to adverse social influences. Secondary school education empowers young people at a time when they are most hopeful, when they are also most experimental and flexible in their lives, and we should embrace this life stage as one to empower young people to take charge of their lives and on our collective future as well. But this means getting the basics right earlier in their lives. Without realizing these goals, we stand no chance whatsoever of succeeding in this new revolution that is unfolding, or of shifting from being a continent of consumers to being a continent of innovators and also a continent of inventors. I forever remember the conversation that I had with a European gentleman who has since passed away, who said he has done a thorough analysis of how African countries can advance when it comes to growing their economies. And he did a global analysis, and he said, you know, Europe played a key role in the first industrial revolution. They manufactured machines, the locomotive, and what have you. And he said, Asian countries are now leading in making semiconductors and what have you, and computers. And he said, when I look at Africa, I think what you should do as Africans, you must focus on what Providence has bequeathed you, and that is your animals. And he says, Providence has given you a great wealth, which we in Europe decimated over many years. You have animals. He said, forget about semiconductors and computers. Just focus on your animals. I looked at him and I thought he was joking, and he was serious. In other words, he was saying, you will never be innovators, you will never be inventors. And this Africa Rising concept means that we are proving him wrong, because our young people are becoming innovators, they are becoming inventors. And your task in the education field is to open more opportunities, more chances for our young people to become the innovators, so that we can prove this European gentleman who since passed away wrong. It is this revolution that we must grasp, because we are a continent that should not only be consuming technology, but we should be innovating. We should be creating technology. We should be the great creators, particularly in this fourth industrial revolution. We have also committed that we will set our sights on the furthest horizon. And this is what we should be doing as the African continent. This does not mean living in denial of the challenges that affect us, but implementing realistic and far-reaching solutions to address them. As host and participant in this forum, South Africa stands to learn and to gain a great deal from the discussions that you are going to have here. And we are truly thankful that this dialogue has come here to our country. And we look forward to the outcomes of this forum as an impetus for changing the fortunes of young Africans, not only in our own country, but in the whole continent. And therefore, this will be a great benefit to the fortunes of humanity and society on our continent. With those words, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you, and I thank you for being here. I am just sorry that the duties that one has of party and state dictate that I should be elsewhere. If you were to ask me, I would rather be here than going where I am going now. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much, Mr. President. Colleagues, the President will now be ushered by the Minister to leave almost immediately. Thank you ever so much, President, for your visionary leadership and for a comprehensive chronicle of what we need to do as Africa in the country. Thank you, Mr. President, and we wish you well. Thank you very much, colleagues. Just to indicate that the choir, which rendered the AU anthem and the national anthem of the Republic of South Africa, it's a school choir. And I'm sure you can applaud that. I should have said this in the presence of the President, though, that more often than not, our performance is measured on learning outcomes only and ignoring curriculum enrichment programs, such as the one that these learners have rendered here. And I hope that in future, when we assess education, we'll do that holistically and not only focus on academic performance and forget about curriculum enrichment programs. I now have a very difficult task because all the speakers that are to follow have now ushered the President out of the room. And I'm going to request one of the organizers to quickly get us the Executive Secretary of ADEA, because I'm now going to skip the Minister's welcome address because the President has done justice to that. And I'm sure you'll agree with me. He's done justice, he's welcomed all of us, he's mapped out all that we need to do. So I don't think we'll need the Minister to come and welcome the guests again. That has been done. So if the Executive Secretary of ADEA is ready, we were going to take his address. He's still coming? Okay. Now, I might have to skip then and go to the next. You see, this is what I do in events of my family. If you don't pitch up, then I skip you, and I might not come back and accommodate you again. Okay, let's take AU. We've got the Commissioner of Human Resource Science and Technology for the African Union Commission, who's going to address us, and I'm going to request you to put your hands together as the Commissioner come to the podium to address us. This is flexibility, it works. Time waits for no one. And thank you for being ready to come in and step in the gap. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Beatrice Jenga. I'm Head of Education at the African Union Commission, and I'm representing the Commissioner for Human Resources, Science and Technology. Our guest minister, wherever she may be at the moment, honorable ministers responsible for education, senior government officials, their executive secretary, distinguished leaders of international agencies, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I'm particularly humbled to be here and honored to make remarks on behalf of Her Excellency Professor Sarah Anyang Agbo, Commissioner for Human Resources, Science and Technology at the African Union Commission, who was unable to attend due to prior commitments. Thank you to the government of South Africa for hosting this event, and appreciation to ADEA and MasterCard Foundation for organizing this exceptionally strategic high-level dialogue on secondary education in Africa. At the African Union Commission, we believe that quality education is the ultimate key to inclusive prosperity and sustainable development, and achieving the vision of the African Union of an integrated, peaceful, prosperous Africa, driven by its own competent and empowered citizens, taking up its rightful place in the global community, not just focusing on animals, as we've been told. The AU Vision, Agenda 2063, calls for ensuring that all children complete secondary education as a minimum. This is essential to facilitate development of body and mind, acquisition of African values and knowledge for responsible citizenship, acquisition of the quantum of knowledge and skill necessary to enable informed decisions concerning work, careers, and a fulfilled life. Secondary education, as you all know, because I believe you are here because you are stakeholders in this field, it is strategically positioned as a rounding off of basic education and linking to work and further education and training. Life skills, career guidance, and the so-called 21st century skills become key at this level. Completion of quality secondary education will be the key to significantly reducing dependence on insecure and threatened employment for young people. And it's essential to address the full spectrum of education because the importance and value of secondary education is as a part of a whole. Challenges with learning outcomes in primary and secondary education are in part due to the extremely limited enrollment in early childhood education and development, the foundational pillar for learning and for all-round development. Unless all children have access to pre-primary education with trained teachers, with curricula well articulated and linked to future learning, extensive leakages will continue to bedevil primary and secondary education through inadequate learning and low completion rates. At the other end of the spectrum, access to tertiary education is at about 10% on average in Africa. And this is the level at which our teachers are trained and developed, the level at which curricula and pedagogy are developed, where research is carried out for strengthening learning and learning assessment, for exploring ecosystem linkages to ensure relevance and responsiveness, for developing education management information systems, and so on. It is clear, therefore, that to grow teacher numbers and quality, and of course to enhance quality secondary education and training, we must increase access to tertiary education and training, and raise entry requirements to teacher training in order to restore the status and effectiveness of the teaching profession. The African Union Commission is supporting this process through the newly established Continental Teacher Award. And for honorable ministers, if you have not submitted your 2 top teachers, the deadline is on the 31st of July. Kindly do so. I can give you more information if it fell through the cracks. And as well as ongoing initiatives on teacher qualification frameworks, continental teacher professional standards and guidelines, and establishment of African Teachers Without Borders so that we can make the most of our teacher resource. The place of STEM and ICT cannot be overemphasized. These contribute to raising prospects for employability, innovation, and entrepreneurship. The high cost associated with STEM education and digitization demands that we explore alternative modes of provision, as well as innovative resource use and financing, including Afrocentric education funds. The AU initiative, Innovating Education in Africa, provides opportunity to showcase interventions and products that are helping to enhance access to and quality of education, as well as facilitating skills that are increasingly in high demand for the ever-changing job market, including for women and girls, and for young people living with disability. I'm therefore honored to remind you, especially the honorable ministers, of the importance of attending the upcoming Innovating Education in Africa Expo to be held in Gaborone from 20th to 22nd August. Making it compulsory for all children to complete secondary education will ensure an end to vices like child marriage, especially for girls, and limit illegal child labor. Social protection interventions, including school feeding, are necessary to support those excluded due to poverty and other exclusion factors. Furthermore, it's essential to develop strategies and policies for ensuring that education is protected under all circumstances, including for those living as refugees and displaced persons and in conflict situations, because education is a human right. We need to link education management information systems to labor market information, even as we seek to strengthen links between school and work and optimize the balance with technical and vocational training. Secondary education provides unmatched opportunities to get it right as an investment in youth that will ensure that Africa reaps its demographic dividends. For Africa's development, but also for producing the human resources that are increasingly needed by an aging world. We look forward to the report on secondary education in Africa, although as the African Union Commission we were not involved in the process, but we are ready and willing to come on board so that we all work together towards a common vision. We look forward to the discussions of ministers and experience sharing, and we are fully expectant of concrete implementable recommendations. And we would like to suggest establishment of a thematic cluster on secondary education to bring together major stakeholders in this field systematically to implement recommendations that may come out of this meeting and in subsequent engagements. The cluster that would work closely with other thematic clusters and ADEA intercountry quality nodes. Thank you so much, and may God prosper this high-level dialogue.
Thank you very much. We're proving not only to be ready for innovation and creativity in Africa, but also in making sure that we are punctual. We run the program with the greatest precision. So we're moving to the next item. Thank you very much, the African Union Commission, on your input, incredibly valuable input. We will now proceed with the program and then call on the Minister of Malawi to do the next item, which should have been done by the Minister of Gambia. Can we put our hands together in welcoming the Minister of Malawi? And thank you very much, Minister, Honorable Minister, for having agreed to stand here. Thank you, sir.
Minister of Basic Education, the ADB representative, the AU representative, Master Foundation representative, ADEA representative. Let me also salute the beautiful school choir. It was amazing and very beautiful singing. We salute them in their absence. The organizing committee of this function, the ministers from various countries present here, and deputy ministers, the distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have a speech. I was only told this morning that I stepped in to make remarks. I would like to request my fellow ministers and deputy ministers to forgive me because I haven't consulted, but I would like to represent them. So, forgive me for not consulting you, but I want to trust that what I'll say here, so subscribe and that after this conference will impact the way we manage education affairs in our countries. Just as the President said, I just want to summarize what he said. I think he was calling for a shift in terms of the education that we offer, so that it is relevant and meaningful to the learners. I'd like to draw in a concrete example from the country I come from, Malawi. In Malawi, the banks have their own school. So even when they have hired graduates from our universities, school leavers from our universities, from our schools, they also train them, teach them. To me, it's a message that the education that we offer has gaps. It's not able to address their needs. Therefore, as education providers, we indeed need a shift. We should not be conservative. I think our major challenge is that as education providers, we have always wanted education to provide the services in the way it is provided to us when we were young. We seem to be the source of the problem ourselves, that we are not able to shift to get into the point where the industry, the private sector would want us to. So I would like to invite fellow ministers here, deputy ministers, senior government officials present here, that if we are talking of change, that change must begin with us. If we are not able to change ourselves, let's mobilize people that can help us to change the systems. That would be very critical if we have to move forward together. The relevance of our education across Africa requires holistic review, that we begin to address the need of the private sector. I'm not very sure. I was listening to the Minister for Basic Education in South Africa when he was welcoming us. I'm not very sure how many people here are from the private sector. I hope we have quite a good number. We needed them so that they challenge us as well in terms of the direction that we want to take. Otherwise, the remarks I was requested to make on behalf of my fellow ministers and deputy ministers was simply to express our vote of thanks to the government of South Africa, through the Minister of Basic Education in South Africa, for the warm welcome and also for creating this opportunity for us to learn. So I wish you all great time, learning time, today and tomorrow. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Minister, for being concise and brief and straight to the point. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I also want to acknowledge the commissioners from the Fourth Industrial Revolution Commission, appointed by the President. We've got 3 commissioners amongst us, and I'm just going to request them to just rise so that I acknowledge them properly. I should have done that also in the presence of the President. Minister, we've got 3 commissioners in our midst. I'm going to request them to stand. Where are they? Okay, there they are, over there. Can we welcome them? So we are being watched on what we are doing. as a country, Minister, so we have to make sure that we move with speed in terms of making sure that we are in tune with what is required now and in the future. I'm then going to invite to the podium the Executive Secretary of ADEA, Albert Mzenguva. I've tried Albert to call this Mzenguva. Can you please welcome Albert?
Thank you, the Master of the Ceremony. So, let me start by acknowledging again the South African government through the Ministry of Basic Education that has really accepted to host this important forum. Dear Minister Angie Mseha, thank you so much. Thank you for your commitment to ADEA. Thank you for your commitment to the development of education, not only in South Africa, but in Africa, as our beautiful continent. Dear colleagues, ministers present here from different countries, international and bilateral cooperation organization, the representative from the African Development Bank, the Mastercard Foundation, representative from the Islamic Development Bank, commissioners that are here, colleagues from the ADEA, and all protocol observed. Welcome to this important forum tackling on the issue of education, particularly secondary education. Because I recall this country has hosted what ADEA called the biennial in '99. That's how far we started actually coming to this place. And then we had a chance to again have an opportunity to meet in Pretoria last March during the play-based learning conference. And you are back again here. This really testifies the importance that this country and your ministry in particular attach to collaboration among African countries to support and to develop education that we need for our young children and our youth. I would like, of course, to thank Mastercard Foundation for your support to education. I know Mastercard Foundation is one of the foundations that's focused only on Africa. So thank you so much. The Mastercard Foundation is represented here by Kimberley. Please extend our thanks to your CEO and your board as well. Let me also thank our hosting institution, the African Development Bank, that is represented here by Madame Andrina. The African Development Bank has been hosting ADEA for now a number of years. We are working together. We are very much supporting education. We are actually working together on a new initiative known as the African Education Fund. And we hope that tomorrow we'll be having a session on this to provide more details to ministers and senior officials from government. Now, let me move to ADEA because there are a number of participants here that have heard ADEA for the first time from today. ADEA has been around for the last 30 years. And we started under the World Bank in Washington as the coordination mechanism. Then it moved to UNESCO, and at some point ministers of education from the continent questioned the reason why an organization dealing with African education is based somewhere outside. So it has now, decision was made to have ADEA be in Africa, and the choice was to host it under the African Development Bank. Our focus, main one, is on the continental platform for policy dialogue on education matters. That's really one of the key areas that ADEA focuses. And in addition to that, ADEA is also involved in execution support services that we provide to countries that include capacity building, policy planning, and of course the issue of data for better planning sake. My colleague is just calling me that I'm sorry, I forgot the AUC. Maybe because you spoke before me. So, but let me acknowledge the presence of the African Union Commission here. Now, moving on the main topic of this forum, secondary education in Africa for the future of work. I'm not going to go into detail because I really appreciate the interventions or the remarks from the Minister of Education, Basic Education in South Africa. I think she made a number of points on this. And the President himself, I think the President highlighted some of the key issues, challenges, but also opportunities for education in Africa, and particularly for secondary education. The point I want to make is Africa or any other continent cannot expect social or economic development without tackling the human capital development. Because this is the heart of any transformation that any society will be looking for. But the particularity for Africa is one, it's a youthful continent. It is so important to address the issues of youth to make sure that this continent can actually leapfrog and move to another level. The economy is changing, and it's so important to adapt education accordingly. And more importantly, we are living in a global competitiveness. Whatever activity you do at a given point, whether good or bad, will affect anyhow the other part of the globe. So it is important that Africa position itself and become a big player in the global economy. And for that, we need to revisit our education, to empower our youth, and to be competitive in our industry. So therefore, education and training need to be at the forefront of any development plan that countries are putting forward to address the economic issues, but then more importantly also social challenges that we are facing. Looking at the current development going on in countries, we have seen a growth or increased investment in education in many of these countries. The first, as part of the Millennium Development Goal, a number of African countries have done actually well in increasing access to primary education. On the other side, we have difficulties to increase the number of youth going to higher education because of a number of reasons. And therefore, it is important that we don't just consider a pathway from primary to university, giving opportunity to our secondary education to have an alternative pathway moving to the labor market. I think this is the key issue that will be discussed during this forum. And I'm sure a number of participants will be sharing their perspective, their practices in this regard. Of course, the critical thing is now to make sure the secondary education is increasingly become a platform for a transition to work, to address a number of issues that we are having in our society. The informal sector is also a critical aspect that we need to consider because it still attracts a great number of youth, and therefore, considering the skills that these young people will need in order to enter the informal sector will also be of essence. I hope that during the group sessions that we expect, because as I said before, this forum is not just to present, it's also to give opportunity for people to dialogue. It's a dialogue. And the dialogue means we need interactivity. That's why we'll be calling you to group sessions starting after this afternoon and tomorrow. We'll be having different group sessions where it expects our participants to share their practices, their challenges, but also their innovation. Because we are here also to learn, and it's important that we give a chance to every participant to share his knowledge, expertise, and good practices. We will be tackling different issues, from issues of financing, need for education. We'll be talking about teacher professional development, curriculum assessment. How do we design curriculum as a starting point to make sure we address some of the challenges, the inadequacy that we have seen between demand and supply. We'll be tackling again the use of technology to support education delivery. And more importantly, we would like to live here with a sense of understanding how we need to reshape education delivery to prepare the youth for the world of work. So without too much talk, I would like again to express my gratitude, starting with the governments of Africa and our partners that have supported this event, but more importantly to our partners, our organizations that are represented here. And let me also thank the colleagues from ADEA Group, ADB, and more importantly the Ministry of Basic Education. Minister, your team is wonderful. They've been supporting us from the beginning. So let me take this opportunity to thank them for the well done work, and we hope this is actually will continue. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you, Albert. Our task is well cut out. So we were on time. So, and we will take a health break and then resume at 11 o'clock. But I must just warn you that real work begins from 11 o'clock. So far, we've just had what was setting the tone for the 2 days. Real work begins. And I must just warn you to buckle up from 11 o'clock. We take a break and we'll be back at 11 o'clock. Thank you very much. Thank you. Sorry, I've been advised that we must use time prudently. It's a very scarce commodity. So can we be back at 11:45, 10:45, not 11 hours, 10:45. Let us be back at 10:45, not 11 o'clock. Thank you very much.